How do a few specific, everyday phrases heard in early childhood continue to shape adult psychology and behavior? A developing child is essentially a blank slate. They rely entirely on their parents as their very first mirror to gauge who they are and what they are worth. This chart visualizes data from the Administration of Children and Families. In 2008 alone, more than 50,000 children in the United States were officially counted as victims of emotional abuse. But that top-line number only tracks officially reported cases. Millions more children absorb undocumented, casual remarks that form the foundation for their lifelong self-esteem. We can begin to understand this impact by examining 8 specific, escalating phrases that often signal a toxic dynamic in a person's past or present. Identifying these specific patterns reveals how a person's most persistent adult insecurities often trace back to a few repeated sentences. The first category involves direct critiques on appearance, calling a child too fat, too skinny, or ugly. When a child's physical traits are repeatedly degraded, they begin to internalize a distorted and hypercritical view of their own body. As that child matures, this hyperfixation on physical flaws often manifests as severe eating disorders. The alternative requires parents to teach unconditional self-love, regardless of external traits. Closely related are provocative questions about a child's natural eccentricities, asking why they walk, talk, or chew a certain way. Because children believe what their parents say, they internalize these sarcastic questions as permanent, unfixable defects. This constant scrutiny often leads to lifelong social anxiety, making it difficult for the individual to relax around others. A secure parent, by contrast, fosters a safe space for individual expression. When external traits are continuously under attack, a child is forced into a permanent state of masking, terrified that the outside world will notice the exact flaws their parents fabricated for them. This represents what happens when a parent makes unhealthy comparisons. Forcing a child to measure up against siblings or peers systematically dismantles their individual self-esteem. Instead of allowing independent identities, these constant comparisons cause the relationship to harden into lifelong jealousy and resentment. The feeling of isolation grows when a parent expresses that the child is a financial or emotional hurdle. Phrases like, "you cost too much," or "taking care of you exhausts me," condition the child to suppress their natural needs and feelings to avoid triggering parental anger. According to a report by the Nemours nonprofit Children's Health System, this specific lack of affection and reliance on materialistic measurement directly correlates with children externalizing their pain through stealing or abusive behavior. Stripped of a baseline sense of belonging within their own family unit, the child seeks external validation through destructive means. The psychological damage accelerates with the use of absolute labels. Calling a developing child stupid, useless, or a loser writes a permanent, self-fulfilling prophecy directly into their neural pathways. There is a distinct difference between critiquing a specific, isolated action and attacking a child's core identity. The latter convinces them they will never succeed, no matter how hard they try. This internal instability is compounded by external unreliability, specifically through empty promises. Offering a reward for good behavior and repeatedly failing to follow through shatters a child's baseline trust. Making fake promises teaches a child that the world itself is inherently unreliable. Healthy development requires parental integrity and realistic commitments that a child can actually depend on. Stripping away a child's internal worth while simultaneously breaking their external trust guarantees they will struggle to navigate secure relationships in adulthood. The severity of emotional abuse peaks with existential threats. Telling a child, "I'll leave you," or "I'll just disappear," directly wires the developing brain for persistent abandonment issues. That childhood fear translates directly into adult paranoia. They grow unable to trust future partners, fearing they will be left behind, rather than experiencing the permanent security they actually needed. For parents, this diagram illustrates a crucial shift. The compulsion to use toxic phrases is often inherited from previous generations. Emotional intelligence involves recognizing that loop and actively choosing a path of awareness and repair. For healing adults as you move forward, The most crucial realization is that the flaws your toxic parents pointed out were fabricated by their own unhealed insecurities. Those flaws do not actually belong to you. Recognizing and specifically naming these exact patterns of communication is the primary mechanism for breaking the cycle of generational trauma.